Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors. I hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate the great outdoors of the state of Mississippi, something we do every Monday at lunchtime. And I really appreciate you because the reason you join us is to join in this celebration of the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi because, as I say every single week, this is the capital of the outdoors in America. I often say I really appreciate you joining us, and we really appreciate the feedback. I can't tell you how much we enjoy it. I can't believe that it's September the 22nd, 2025 already. Man, the time has just flown by this year. Hey, listen, last week we talked a little bit about Charlie Kirk, and I mean, everybody was talking about it. And there's a lot of respect. People are still talking about it. What we learned is people who didn't get to know him very well, as they learn a little bit more about what this guy stood for. Me being a former newspaper publisher and having spent so much time in my career standing up for the First Amendment, what Charlie stood for is how to respectfully have conversations, whether you agreed with him or not. He was there to have conversations with you, and he was leading by example, and he was truly an inspiration. I mean, I think his inspiration will continue to grow and be very powerful. And what was at the basis of it was a strong faith, an incredibly strong faith in God. I was privileged and honored last week to be joined by our friend, Will Primos. And I say our friend because people who have watched Primos Outdoors over all these years, the truth about hunting, you know where Will is. I mean, he has always been very clear that he is a faithful man. And as he said, the first time that he and I visited, he's been on the show many times, but he often now says, or I remind him something he said during that first show. And that is, during the turkey season, when he's out into the woods and he's, listening to those turkeys and just enjoying being in that moment, what outdoors brings to you in that moment. And I've repeated this many times, but I just think it's powerful the way Will talked about it. He said that he thinks to do a prayer, but then he realizes that he's actually in a prayer in that moment. I think a lot of us feel that way, that when we're in the solitude of the outdoors, it's not about the harvest. It's about family and friends and, being in that solitude, being able to collect your thoughts. And thank God that we have this opportunity to enjoy what we're able to enjoy in our lives in Mississippi. Those things are really important. If you missed my conversation with Will last week, I would really encourage you to go listen to it. He really poured out his heart and soul around the death of Charlie Kirk. And one of the things he said, and it was actually posted in a short by the SuperTalk Mississippi team, and that is, he talked about one of the things he lives by, and that is, if it's good for the family, he always asks, is it good for the family? And then he can decide based on whether he should go forward or not, whether it's good for the family or not. And then he also talked about how his faith guides him and how, he was always touched by Charlie's ability to be guided by his faith. I mean, a true inspiration, really a prophet, really of our time. So if you missed that conversation with Will, I would really, really encourage you to go listen to it. You can go to your favorite podcast platform and just look at SuperTalk Outdoors. You can go to Facebook, SuperTalk Outdoors at Facebook. You can go to the SuperTalk channel at the SuperTalk Outdoors channel at the SuperTalk Mississippi channel and listen to it as well. There's a lot of inspiration there. And, it was a terrific conversation. And I even got a note from Will yesterday. He was in Florida and he and his wife were watching the memorial service, and they thought about us in the conversation that we had last Monday. And it was a nice note. And I told him I thought about him too. And this too shall pass, and we'll find inspiration from it, and we will move forward. And more people, I think, will be drawn to think about church and their faith and the role God plays in their lives and all of that. So I think it's an important moment in our country. Okay, let's shift gears now. We're going to have a great conversation with William McKinley, head of the deer program, who for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We're going to talk about an article that I got from Outdoor Life that talked about 20 myths about whitetail deer hunting. We'll just kind of go through some of those. We'll find out the latest in his world as well, but we'll have a little fun with that conversation. And in the first segment, we're going to be visiting now with my friend, the Captain Ronnie Daniels, who's a regular on the show. We're going to find out what's the latest on the fishing scene in coastal Mississippi. And we're going to talk about a really important event that he's involved with in coastal Mississippi as well. But we'll kind of cover the waterfront. Without any further ado, let me bring my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels back into the conversation. Ronnie, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me again today, Ricky.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, how you doing? How's your family doing? How's everything going?
Man, everybody's great. And you touched on that memorial yesterday. How inspirational has it been to see people coming together? I saw a friend of ours posted yesterday. She said, I don't think I've ever seen God's word this publicized as I'm seeing this morning in my lifetime. And the amount of people that showed up for that. And, you touched on something that Will said, and, talking about being close whenever you're in the outdoors. Every morning, whenever I'm watching that sunrise, running the boat out, I thank him for the opportunity and the ability to be able to do what I do. And, that's one of the things my mom always told me whenever I was a kid. She said, son, going to church is important, but you don't have to walk through those doors to be close to God. And I've always found that, whether it's in the woods or on the water. And, he shows himself to us in so many ways, but that sunrise is hard to beat.
It is. I think it's great because it's creating for young people an awareness and maybe a channel they can go down where they can be proud of their faith and maybe inspire others. Yep. And I think we're in a day today. I wrote about this in my book, Finding Hope, that we're in a day where, the X noise and all the social media, challenges that especially teenagers and young adults have to face these days, it creates a lot of depression. It creates a lot of uncertainty about themselves and where they're headed. And faith gives you an opportunity to find a place that you're grounded. And my book is not a religious book per se, although there's a chapter specifically about faith. I mean, I wanted it to be a book that whether you have faith or not, that there are critical lessons that maybe you could learn about how you can find hope. But I do think that this whole discussion that we're having, the unity that comes around it, creates an opportunity for young people, especially, to have conversations about it. And I think they're going to find hope in these messages that they're getting. I'm confident of it. When you look at I think they had like 1,800 Turning Point USA chapters before all of this. And the last time I looked, it was 65,000 plus requests. I mean, if half of those turn out to be the real deal at high schools and colleges and universities, that's transformative. What's going to happen there? I think that's a very positive thing. Anything else you want to say about that before we switch gears?
Oh, it's just amazing. I love watching it happen. This Wednesday here, one of the things I love here, we're going to have Meet at the Flag Wednesday morning. My wife and I are getting up, taking the kids over there at Pasco-Shan High School, and seeing kids come together and see kids show their faith, it doesn't get any better.
No. Hey, speaking of church, I think you'll get a kick out of this. My grandson is 4, and he's been to the hunting camp one time, and it was not during the hunting season. He went out there with us as we kind of assess things in between the season just a few weeks ago. It was a great trip, and we talked about food plots in front of him. But he's only 4. And in church yesterday, I noticed his dad whispered something to him before church started, and he leaned toward me and said, "Papa, I can't wait to get in a stand with you on a food plot." And I said, "I can't wait to get on a food plot with you." And he looked a little puzzled. I said, "Liam, do you remember what a food plot is?" He says, "No, sir." But he was just kind of buying into the moment. Another thing I thought was, gosh, man, it just touched my heart. Yesterday, I was sitting. They stayed with us because his mother was out of town, and Jordan had something to take care of yesterday morning. So the kids stayed with us, and I was sitting in my chair, and he and his sister. He's 4. His sister Mila is 6, and they were having a conversation. And he leans toward me and says, "Papa, how old are you?" And I said, "Oh man, Liam, it's kind of sad for me to think about." I said, "I'm 68 years old." And he turns, kind of quickly back to Mila and says, you see, Mila, we can make a big number 2. They were just talking about you know, how old Pawpaw was. And she said, well, Pawpaw, he said that you could live to be 40, 51, and there's not such a number. And well, but isn't it beautiful the way they talk out of the mouth of babes, man? I mean, again, coming back to what Will said, when you center your observations and your life around your families and you're willing to hear these wonderful moments and just be touched by it, gosh, I mean, that it won't surprise you that the number one lesson in my book is love your family. They're the foundation of everything that you do. And I think Will made that point last week. Hey, when we come back on the other side with Captain Ronnie Daniels, we're going to talk about how fishing's been along coastal Mississippi. And we're also going to talk about this really important fundraiser that he's involved with. He's always been involved with it. It's just a very inspirational effort that they have going. It makes a big difference in the community. I think we're going to learn, too, that fishing's been great. That is for sure. We will see you after this break. Welcome back to SuperTalk Outdoors. Listen, are you looking to purchase your perfect piece of hunting property, upgrade your farm equipment, or have you been dreaming of owning your slice of heaven out in the country? Look no further than Mississippi Land Bank for your financing needs. For more than 100 years, farming families and landowners in North Mississippi have turned to Mississippi Land Bank for all kinds of financial solutions, whether it's for land, equipment, or livestock. For more information, visit mslandbank.com or go by and see one of their friendly staff at any of their offices. Mississippi Land Bank, we're so thrilled to have them as a regular sponsor of Super Talk Outdoors. We really are. Thank you so much. Okay, back to my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels. I mean, he's deep in it with his fisherman guide service. He gets to see people from all over the United States, and as we have discussed in the past, this has been a particularly good year. Ronnie, how things going these days?
Man, that's going great. You know, you're nailing it saying it's been a good year. It's been a great year, you know, and to think back what we were thinking about back in January with the freeze, we're all worried we're not going to have any fish to catch. This was probably the best year trout-wise that I've seen in 13 years of guiding. I mean, we have had a phenomenal year. It hadn't really slowed up. You know, the normal August slowdown has happened, but now we're getting into that transition phase. These fish are moving. Triple tail been good. Trout have been good. Redfish been good. It's all been good this year. We hadn't had any major weather events. We hadn't had any man-made events. Everything's just been clicking along just the way it should.
Listen, yeah, and I've heard, of course, amberjack season is open. You've had good reports of mahi-mahi offshore. We've had a lot of calm days offshore, but your point is well taken, man. It's been a really quiet tropical season. As we learned with Zeta, man, I mean, that Zeta hit at the end of October, and it was a butt kicker. In fact, for Zeta, for you guys in Pass Christian at the Shaggy's Harbor charter docks, it was a blessing in disguise for you, wasn't it?
It really was. You know, you talk about a silver lining, right? And we had a small dock right up by the boat launch that we had built, but Remmer Covington and I had been talking about, hey, let's do something bigger and better. And Zeta hit. He called me and said, if there's ever been a time, it's now. So, you know, I remember he asked me, he said, can you fill it? And I said, fill it. There's already a waiting list. He said, all right, let's get started then. And you know, since then, now we've got this great big nice dock. We've got the finest shorter fishing facility, probably this side of Gulf Shores. We host a lot of people through there, a lot of big corporate events, and it just makes for a really nice place for people to come and enjoy our coast.
How much difference does it make to have your boat on a lift? I mean, would you have ever imagined your boat would be on a lift at the Pasquashan Harbor?
I begged and begged for years. I couldn't ever get the board alderman on board with me, but since Rimmer did that, you know, time is everything, especially since we're talking about family, right? Because as charter captains, we fish 7 days a week, probably 7 months out of the year, or at least we book that many. And, you know, just being able to pull in, have the pressure washer there, have everything right there, and minimize that time that you have after a charter provides more time for us, for the family, you know, at the end of the day. And anything you can cut down and make it more efficient makes everything better.
Listen, this Fishing with Buddies effort in Gulfport, when you went over and saw that a few years ago and saw what it was all about, you got on board 100%, and since have had terrific outcomes for people who can really benefit from it. Why don't you kind of update people on what Fishing with Buddies is all about and what's happening at Pass Christian and when?
So Fishing with Buddies is basically, I'll call it a spinoff of Buddy Sports, which Mike Crawford here in Pass Christian, he's the director of that organization here for South Mississippi. It started off putting a buddy with an individual and doing a little bit of baseball, but now they do horseback riding. I had a pickleball group reach out to me this morning that wants to introduce them to that. And of course, my favorite event, we have Fishing with Buddies. And it started, I went over and I did the one in Gulfport, and I said, man, this is awesome, but how awesome would it be if we could do it twice a year instead of just once? And one thing I do have is a lot of really good people and good friends that are charter boat captains that I know would jump all over this. So we started that first year. We had about 10 boats, I think. And the charter boat captains were happy to donate their time. Well, that has just grown and grown. I think we're in our 5th or 6th year now. Last year, weather kept us from doing it. We tried rescheduling a few times. Didn't happen. This year, we built in a weather day. So if it doesn't happen on the 14th of October, we're going to try to make it happen on the 16th. And it's looking like it'll be our biggest year ever. We've got 50 plus individuals signed up to participate. Right now, I'm sitting around 40 boats, and I'm still getting messages every day. I put a Facebook post out there on Fisherman Guide Service Facebook page and shared it to a bunch of the other ones. And the outpour from people, whether they have boats or don't have, just everybody wants to get involved in this, and for good reason. To see the smiles and the just pure enjoyment that come out of just a couple hours of your time. I tell everybody that calls me to volunteer, I can promise you one thing and one thing only. You're going to leave there feeling better than you did whenever you showed up.
So when you talk about buddies, who are the buddies?
So it could be volunteers. Sometimes it's family members. So, I always say kids, but they're not all kids. Some of them are adult age, but they've all got some type of disability that makes it hard maybe on the families or just on them to go and enjoy different types of activities. And this is one of those, right? So Buddy Ball they're always in need of volunteers to help out, whether it be horse riding, fishing, baseball, any of the other activities that they do. You can go to their website, get up with Mike, volunteer there for that. Sometimes it's a family member that comes along with them, but just getting to take them out and see them have a good time. Emily, Mike's daughter, she rides with me every year. She could care less about catching a fish, but what she does want to do is turn the radio up, ride around, wave at all of her friends, holler at everybody fishing, and just have a good time. And you know what? Hey, that's what we do. We ride around and we let her wave to everybody on the water.
That's so beautiful. So, listen, this show is going across the state. So, if people wanted to volunteer their time to be a part of this effort, or maybe they have someone in their family or a friend who has some disability that could benefit from a program like this, how can they get more information?
Absolutely. Feel free to shoot me a text at 228-323-1115. You can go to Fisherman Guide Service on Facebook. You can find Buddy Sports on Facebook. Mike Crawford, I don't know his number right off the top of my head. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing it, but through the social media or contact me directly, I can put you in touch with the right person.
Yes, it's called Fishing with Buddies, and this particular one is at Shaggy's Harbor Dock, Harbor Bar and Grill at the charter docks there that we were just talking about. That was built after Hurricane Zeta. So so it's going to be October the 14th, and there's a built-in rain day for October the 16th, as he pointed out. I see the event starts at 4:30. Is that right? Food.
Yeah, it's going to start at 4:30. We're going to get our volunteers there around 4:00, get everybody lined out. And I can't talk about this event without saying a huge thank you. Number one, Shaggy's, they donate all the food. After we take these kids out fishing, we come back, we get time to fellowship and just love on them. They have dinner there waiting on us. B&W Live Bait out of Pass Christian. They provide all the bait. CCA gives every participant a rod and reel. And CETO provides all the life vests for the kids that day. DMR sends boats out to make sure everybody's safe and just have a presence. The fire department will be down there. People come together from all walks of the community to make this event happen, and I'm very thankful.
Well, that's so good, Ronnie. I'm so glad to hear that you've had such a good turnout, and hopefully people from across the state will get him involved in this. October the 14th, you got a makeup day for October the 16th, and the event starts at 4:30 with food and fellowship immediately following on the dike. So it should be, hopefully the weather will be like it's been, and that means outstanding. And that's the hope, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We don't have to run far, but we do need relatively calm weather to make it happen and put it all together. Some of our participants are coming in wheelchairs. Some of them, have obviously mobility issues. So we're praying for good weather and a good turnout, and everybody to have a safe, fun afternoon on the water.
Well, listen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and the other charter boat captains and other volunteers, doing this. I love volunteerism. People often say this, but for people who are not volunteering on a regular basis, what you get when you volunteer your time, and I spent so much of my career involved in volunteering, and that is you get more from it than you actually give. And you also help fill gaps in the community and put a smile on somebody's face that will be really, it's a smile they will, and a memory they will take within the rest of their lives. And it's something that you will take with you the rest of your lives. But listen, keep up the good work. Hope the fishing continues to be great for you guys, Ronnie.
Hey, thank you, Ricky. It's always a good time getting to talk with you, and come by and see us sometime. Me and you need to get out on a boat before too long.
I totally agree. This has been Captain Ronnie Daniels from down here on the coast. When we come back, William McKinley from the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks is going to be joining me. See you after this.